No.
Instantly, and then you can drive people back to
Exactly.
the YouTube page and get more subscribers.
Tom Rock.
No time. We're- Good morning and welcome to Common Sense with Tom Schmitz. It is Monday, January 23rd, and it is the weekend wrap-up show. I must say before we get started, though, that all the views expressed here are those of the guest and the host and in no way represent the CEP, the Power Plant Business Incubator, the City of Ocala, or Marion County. Coming up today is the weekend wrap, but really, I'm adding a wrap-up of last week as well. We'll focus today on the inauguration of the 45th President, Donald J. Trump, and I'll also wrap up my thoughts about the reinstatement of Ocala Police Chief Greg Graham. But first, While You Were Sleeping. While You Were Sleeping is brought to you by the Riley Arts Center of Ocala, the premier performing arts center in our area. With concerts, dance events, and comedy events, the Riley has something for everyone. Visit them at therileyartcenter.com for an up-to-the-moment calendar of events. 3 people from DeLeon Springs were killed when a tow truck careened into their vehicle's lane on County Road 326 near Ocala Sunday evening. Troopers did not immediately release the name of the deceased because their family members had not been notified. They have since been identified only as a 61-year-old man who was the driver and a 56-year-old woman and a 31-year-old man. The crash occurred about 5:52 p.m. near Northeast 25th Street. A 2015 Ford truck was traveling west on County Road 326, according to the trooper. It went off the road onto the shoulder, came back onto the highway, and collided with an SUV that was coming from that direction. The 3 people in the SUV were killed. That, of course, is from our good friends at Ocala.com. That was While You Were Sleeping, brought to you by the Riley Arts Center. Visit them at www.rileyartcenter.com. And now for the weekend wrap-up. The weekend wrap-up segment is brought to you today by Ocala Golf Club. Go to ocalagolfclub.com to book your tee time now. So Friday, about 12:05, Donald J. Trump was inaugurated as our 45th president to the United States of America in what can only be classified as the greatest way to give power from one group to another, a peaceful, albeit there were some riots, I know we'll talk about that in a moment, a peaceful transition of power as the outgoing power brokers sit on the stage and welcome in the incoming power brokers after they're sworn in by the Chief Justice, this time John Roberts of the U.S. Supreme Court. Now, Mr. Trump immediately gave a scathing, it's probably the only way it could be classified, speech in which he denounced all that is Washington for the most part. He didn't pull any punches. He aggravated, looked like Nancy Pelosi's head was fixing to explode up there on the seating area. But Paul Ryan looked a little uncomfortable too when he said what Donald J. Trump said. For many years, Washington has made money while America has crumbled. The cities of Detroit, the urban areas of Detroit have crumbled. The farms in Nebraska have crumbled. While the people in Washington keep getting richer and richer. That stops today. The crowd out in front of the president cheered. The crowd behind the president looked not that happy. Well, maybe it's time they got a little shake up in Washington. Maybe it's time they realized it's not a place to go become billionaires or millionaires. It's a place to go do the business of the American people. Now, do I agree with everything Donald J. Trump says? No. Did I vote for Donald J. Trump in the primaries? No, I voted for Dennis Kucinich. I thought Dennis Kucinich was the best candidate for the job at the time the Florida primary elections came around. Did I vote for Donald J. Trump for president? Yes, I did. Because given the alternative, I didn't think it was proper to vote the other way. Now, some of you may have problems with that, but hey, that's why we have a system. Now, the inauguration, there's been much to do about how many people were at the inauguration, how many people weren't at the inauguration. Let's put that to bed. The problem with that is I think that the news media was looking for something to show the Trump faction not in a very good light. And that's sometimes their job, I guess. But then for Donald J. Trump to send his press secretary, I haven't even really got to know the guy's name. He looked like a little angry leprechaun is what he looked like that he sent out there on stage to berate the media that, oh, by the way, he has to work with for the next 4 years, or until he decides that the job's gotten too rough, so he wants to go off and write a memoir like most press secretaries do. But he has to deal with these people on a daily basis. He went in there with a angry attitude, picking a fight, and he said things that were easily proven to be false. When he said, this is the most attended inauguration, period. No, it wasn't. Photos don't lie, folks. The Washington Monument cameras took a photo of 2009, took a photo of 2017. Barack Obama had a lot more people there in 2009 than Donald Trump had in 2017. But why the first day of a presidency is our president, and by the way, he's our president, every American's president. Why is this the trivial thing he wants to send his press secretary out to pick a fight over? For all this talk about we're going to come back with unity and we're going to come back and we're going to work and we're going to stop this 6 years of non-work that has been the U.S. Congress and the U.S. presidency, damn sure didn't look like it that way Friday when the angry little leprechaun came out and picked a fight with the press. Now, I got to give the president a benefit of the doubt. He's never been a politician. He's never been in this kind of situation, and he's got to get his sea legs under him. But that's got to happen yesterday. Now, I like some of the things that he's already doing with the wanting to rework the NAFTA agreement and the TPP. I'm okay with that. I still don't understand quite what he's going to do with Obamacare. Now, do I think Obamacare needs to go away? I think that every American that doesn't have insurance should have a way to get affordable insurance. I think that every American, no matter whether they have a pre-existing condition or not, should have the ability to get health care. I believe that it's okay as long as your child is in college that they are able to stay on their parents' insurance. Now, how do you make that and make it affordable? You know, that's a question for people much smarter than me. It's something that has to be done. Obamacare, I've been a member of the Obamacare system for 3 years. It started out great, $51 a year to cover a single person. It has increased to $113, same plan, $113 for me in just over 2 years, which is what they said wouldn't happen. I went from $50 a month to now I'm at $170 a month, give or take a few dollars. And that's just as expensive as insurance was for me before. I could go get insurance for about $220 before. So something's going to have to be done with that. The Republicans think they're going to repeal it. Well, let me tell you something, pal. If you repeal it without something in place, that's just as stupid as what you think the program is in the first place, in my opinion. You can't leave people hanging out there. You got to come up with a viable option. That's the one thing I don't want Donald Trump to do and his presidency to do, to come in and just decide that everything that's been done over the last 8 years, they're going to undo without a plan on how to take care of when you undo things. You know, it's kind of like if you undo the zipper on your pants, you better have a belt to hold that pants up or some safety pins or some idea how you're going to close the gap in your pants when you unzip them, or you might get in trouble. Well, that's what I feel like going here. Hey, we're just going to snatch our pants down. We don't know what's going to happen. We ain't got no alternative once we snatch our pants down. Well, maybe this is something that they should think about before they just go repeal, repeal, repeal. Now, don't get me wrong. I think that the way that they say that you have to, pay a tax or a penalty if you don't get Obamacare, it's a forced thing. I understand why people think that may be, against their constitutional rights, but the Supreme Court did uphold the constitutionality of Obamacare 3 years ago. So that's, again, another argument for people much smarter than me. But what I do know is in the 48 hours that I've seen since Friday when the inauguration took place, I've seen an angry man on Twitter and an angry little leprechaun at the podium that has the POTUS symbol on it. That's not a good start. That's not making me as a Republican feel like that we really, really did the right thing. Now, all that could change. I hope it does. And I'm going to give you the benefit of the doubt. But it's got to change quickly. Now, to all these protests, the women's movement and everything, good for you. That is exactly the fundamentals that this country was built on. Now, people are going to say, Tom, you really enjoyed that the women protested? Look, I enjoy any time that Americans stand up and voice their opinion. I don't have to agree with their opinion, but I do understand why they have the opinion, and I think it's great they're able to do it. Hey, would you be able to do that in Tiananmen Square? Oh, no, they tried that in 1989, and they got run over with tanks. Would you be able to try that in Syria? Oh, no, they tried that, and he gassed them with chemical weapons. Would you be able to try that in Iraq? Probably not. Would you be able to try that in Russia right now? No, Putin would come out with no shirt on and a rifle and start picking you off. That's the beauty of the country we live in. You're able to go and protest. I don't agree with the protest. Now, women say, but I'm not going to get behind a man that was a misogynist prick. Well, guess what? We knew that about him before he ran. That's not new news. When the thing came out with Billy Bush and Donald Trump about what he said about grabbing a woman's private parts, you knew he was kind of a dick like that, didn't you? We all did. But he's not Washington. And that's what happened. Washington didn't listen to the people saying we want change that's not the same. Michael Moore tried to warn the Democrats. Michael Moore, the most liberal man that you could think of, tried to warn them. He said America's fixing to get the biggest FU they could get from the Rust Belt if they don't start listening. They didn't listen, and guess what? The Rust Belt told the Democrats FU and voted for Donald Trump. So now he's our president. That's right, he's our president. Yours, mine, and every American citizen here. For good, for bad, or indifferent. Until he either gets tired of the job, gets impeached, or gets reelected and does another 4 years. All three of those are options, it looks like, the way this one's going. I can't wait for the next time his little leprechaun comes out and goes to the press booth in the press room to talk to the press. I want to see what he does then. And maybe he should come dressed like the Notre Dame Fighting Irish mascot. Boy, that'd be fun. Also, I want to talk to you today. Tuesday, Chief Greg Graham of the Ocala Police Department was reinstated by a 5-0 vote from the city council after the allegations against him were proven to not hold water. Now, we've talked about this earlier last week about how I was glad that that decision was made, and I thought it was a formality that the chief would be reinstated. And I was correct. It was kind of a formality. It was to come up, seconded, 5-0 vote. End of story. No, it's Ocala, people. It's never the end of the story that easy. Afterwards, the chief left the room. He was going back to get to work. Miss Rich, one of the council people, Miss Mary Sue Rich, she decided that she wanted to suspend the chief for cause for 30 days without pay. Well, after some wrangling back and forth, she was told by the city attorney, you can't do that, Miss Rich. That's the job of the mayor. The mayor oversees the police department. The mayor disciplines the police department. It's the job he was elected to do, one of the jobs he was elected to do, so the city council can't do that. What the city council can do is prefer the chief up on charges. Then those charges will have to be investigated, and then they can vote on it. Well, so Miss Rich, after realizing, you know, she's a city councilwoman who finally understands no, she doesn't understand the charter. It had to be explained to her, but that's neither here nor there. She I guess, just came up with a different way to say it, and she said, I want to prefer charges against the chief. Then they had an open discussion, which was the most ridiculous thing. Then you see the pettiness really come out of the president of the city council, Brent Molliver. He doesn't like to be questioned. He doesn't like to have his authority questioned, and he got angry, and I almost think he thought about just maybe even fighting with Jay Musley. I don't know. Brent Molliver, the look in his eye was just plain mean when Councilman Jay Musley asked him a question, and Molliver sniped at him so hard it was the proverbial biting his head off with words. Then they held the vote, and the vote came back 3-2 not to prefer charges. 3-2. So, all the news media was there, Channel 9, Channel 2, Channel 6, Channel 13, they were all there. Now, lucky for the city of Ocala, we didn't get embarrassed on the 6 o'clock news because we have a way of embarrassing ourselves, i.e., sheriff, indicted, sheriff's race, sex being involved where one person had to pull out of the race 4 years ago, no pun intended. We have a tendency to embarrass ourselves all the time. Well, we had another chance with Miss Rich with her 3-2 vote. All the news media was there. Luckily, the Orlando Police Department did their job well and were able to arrest a fugitive after 9 days on the run, and that took up the news cycle on the 6 o'clock news, so the Ocala story wasn't run until 11 o'clock. It was story 4 on the news channel I was watching, Channel 9 out of Orlando, and here's how the story read. The story didn't go, council votes 5-0 to reinstate police chief after charges proved to be unfounded. No, the story said, City of Ocala City Council refuses to discipline chief on sexual harassment and discrimination allegations. Thanks, Mary Sue. That's what people think. Now you and your city council members are unable to discipline a chief for sexual harassment allegations and discrimination allegations. You know why? Because they were proven unfounded. But that's not how the news media in Orlando portrayed it, and you knew that was going to happen. But you had to have your way anyway, didn't you? Well, now that's just another black eye that you put on the city. Thanks, Mary Sue Rich. Thanks, Brent Molliver. Good job. I'm glad we elected you so you could really spend our tax dollars well in making those kind of wonderful decisions. It is a little short day today because it's just a weekend wrap-up show. Tomorrow we will have Rebecca Harvick. She is a artist here in town. She's with the Marion Cultural Alliance. She is also the artist of the fantastic mural on the wall behind us here. She'll be in tomorrow to talk about what it takes to be a struggling artist and what it takes to be a single mom and a struggling artist as your profession. That is on tomorrow's Common Sense with Tom Schmitz. But now, to this day in history. This day in history is brought to you by KT Entertainment. If you had a wedding reception, a birthday party, or any type of private gathering where you need musical entertainment, call KT Entertainment at 352-512-2611, or you can find them on the web at ktforfun.com. That's KT, the number 4, fun.com. And you can also find them on Facebook at KT Entertainment. On this day in history, born today was Edward Vern Roberts. He was an American activist who passed away March of '95, but he was the first student with severe disabilities to attend the University of Berkeley, California, Berkeley, and he was a pioneering leader of the disability rights movement. As we had earlier on the show, Hunter Turner, a friend of the show who works for Buddy Martin Media and is disabled in a wheelchair. The American Disabilities Act was a much needed rights act for the disabled in our country to get their equality. And like Hunter said, it's not just about getting in the doors. It's not just about having proper bathrooms to use. It's about equality in the workplace, the ability to get jobs, the ability to find jobs, and the ability to be educated properly. Well, all of that can be traced back to the work of Edward Vern Roberts, an American activist for disability rights, born on this day in 1939. That has been This Day in History, brought to you by KT Entertainment. Remember, tomorrow, Rebecca Harvick, she's here to talk about what it takes to be a single mom and artist at the same time. Please go and subscribe to my YouTube channel. It's really easy to do. It's just a subscribe button right there in the corner when you're watching the show. For Ryan Mace, behind the scenes, pushing all the right buttons, I'm Tom Schmitz. Have a great morning, everyone.